All right, welcome to a special edition of Whole Hoops and Happenings that we happen to call the Triple H Show. Today's topic, not Taylor Swift, but just as big or bigger, the New York Yankees. And what's going to happen with the New York Yankees? We're all, the four of us, and we're going to have the Gister joining us soon. We're all big Yankee fans, so we just want to have a little powwow for about 4 or 5 minutes to an hour or so, just discussing what our thoughts are for the New York Yankees and their future, immediate future, as a matter of fact. Joining me today, to my right, Paul Justifan. Paul, how are you?
Good to see you, Bobby.
Good to see you. Below me, Nick from Milburn.
Hey, Bob, what's up, my guy?
I don't know which team I hate more, the Duke or the Eagles. And they're in, you're wearing a Duke, is that a Duke hat, right?
No, Durham Bulls.
Who's that?
Durham Bulls, because I saw the movie at the paper.
Oh, all right. I thought it was Duke.
No, I would never wear Duke. Bobby, I thought you knew me well. Oh, my God, I would never wear, oh, my God, Duke. I would wear Duke before Rutgers, but I wouldn't wear Duke. And my daughter-in-law to be is a huge Duke fan. Brielle, I love you, but I still wouldn't wear Duke.
Well,
I not only hate Christian Lichtner, I hate Krzyzewski and all the rest of them.
And then right in the corner there, we have Ryan Luigi, four names Woodhams. What's up, buddy?
How y'all doing? Mr. Blackjack, good to have you back on. Never the same without you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So,
yeah,
quick story.
That is 100% true. Bobby, it isn't a great show last night, but without you as our captain, something was missing.
Hey,
oh, no, speaking of missing.
Of course, Gister's, I'm guessing that's your basement?
It's my dad's man cave.
Yeah, it looks like a casino. Like I
no,
saw
really.
slot machines back there last night.
No, it's not slot machines. It's I could show you what it is.
I saw something here last night. I thought it was slot machines.
Pinball.
Oh, all right. There we go.
Whoa!
Oh, where's it?
Look at all those pinball machines.
So quick Duke story. When I was a sophomore in high school at Elmwood Park, we had a guy. He was like 6'5". He was a monster. Scott Miller ended up playing football for Rutgers on a scholarship, and played actually in the World Football League when it was in existence. So, him being a big, bulky, 6'5" guy, he loved basketball too. So we actually little Elmwood Park Group 2 school, Bergen County, ended up having a scrimmage against Bloomfield because they had at that point Ala Abdelnaby.
There you go.
Right, and I guess for the sake of a scrimmage, they wanted the two big guys to bang and kind of get some experience that way for Ala and for Scott and whatnot. And who was in the stands? Mike Krzyzewski.
Seton Hall was in on Ala, but we were in on a lot of kids back then. Got some of them.
So, even as a sophomore in high school, meeting Mike Krzyzewski, who was at that point maybe not as great as he would become at that point. I'm not sure. Again, I'm not a Duke fan, so I don't know the lineage. But even having a Mike Krzyzewski autograph on my wall all through high school, I still cannot fathom Duke. I don't know. Again, it's not Michigan, because if you're a Seton Hall person, you don't like Michigan at all. But I just never was a Duke guy, and if it comes down to basketball, I'm a Carolina guy. So Nick, what's going on there, Gister?
Nicole,
I just turned on a hockey game because I don't know what else is on.
Who's playing right now?
I've got Panthers, Red Wings, Patrick Kane.
Panthers and who?
Red Wings.
Red Wings. Okay.
Patrick Kane's team.
Yeah, I don't really care about that game.
I'm gonna do my producing stuff for a few moments. Nick, take it over again. Here we are, the HHH show. And Nick, I know you're busy now, but we got to figure out a new logo for this show that kind of looks like the old logo. As I was mentioning, we want to kind of separate all wholesome happenings to be just Seton Hall talk, and so people don't get confused that if we go off topic, like last week's Taylor Swift show and tonight's Yankee show, that people will get upset that we're not talking Hall hoops. So,
yeah, but on that, we spent 2 solid hours talking Seton Hall basketball yesterday. But I know to distinguish it, we need to come up with something a little bit different. And we have a very talented group here. So, and we have a very deep bench. Except that Morgan kid, I don't know. He must be in love or something. I haven't seen him in months. He pops in for one thing, and then what's her name, Nicole?
What?
What's her name?
Who?
The girl that's keeping Nick Morgan from coming on our show. When Chris Jones was in love, he still came on.
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know.
You know everything.
No, I don't.
I mean, guys, it's. Oh wait, oh no, okay. Nice hack, Coach. Thank you. Durham Bulls, not the Duke Blue Devils.
Yeah, I thought it was Duke for a second. They'll take it back.
Yeah.
They're coming on a show with a Michigan hat on. I'll boot you right out. Get out.
No, I know. I'll get suspended.
Nick, take over a few moments. Let me get the producing side going, and let's talk some Yankee baseball.
Yeah. So I did some interesting stat searching. So before we talk about the future, let's just talk philosophy for a second. Okay. The 2025 Yankees, right, hit 274 collective team home runs. It's a lot, right? 274.
Yeah.
The 1998 Yankees, which may be one of the greatest teams in Yankees history, only hit 207 home runs, right? So like 7 home runs less. Okay? The 1998 Yankees, though, scored 965 runs because the purpose of baseball is to score runs, right? You score more. It's not who hits the most home runs. It's who scores the most runs. The 2025 Yankees, even though he had 274 homers, scored 849 runs. So over 120 runs less than one of the best teams in Yankees history. My point being, the Yankees team that was constructed in 2025 was very uneven. There are no table setters. And I don't get it. I still don't understand how Brian Cashman's computer can bat Aaron the Paul Goldschmidt lead off and Aaron. It's just not what I've been brought up. I've been making lineups my whole life. You don't do that. 1 and 2 get on base. 3 and 4 not that. It's just maybe you have an extra leadoff hitter with 9. But I don't get this. And you don't get a team of all home run hitters. You need balance. You need absolute balance. Joe Torre did not rely, and you guys don't think this, but I'm positive that Aaron Boone is given the lineup by the analytics and by Brian Cashman every game, and he's told what to do. No one told Joe Torre what to do. Maybe they gave him like certain matchup things, like this Homer Bush is hitting better than Kurt Knobloch against this pitcher, stuff like that. But it's not as detailed. And Joe Torre, one of the greatest managers in the Yankees history, I'm sure managed from gut, not just purely analytics. So, I mean, I think the roster is very uneven, and it was poorly constructed. And moving forward, you need more of an even roster. And it starts with Brian Cashman. Scoop, what do you think about that? Or do you like the way the roster was constructed?
So I half very much agree with you and half really disagree with you. So, and I'll start with the agreement side. I do agree with you that the roster construction seems to be uneven. What I'll say is this: the juxtaposition that I draw on what's the scoop between the Yankees and teams that have won recently, whether that's Houston, whether that's Los Angeles, whether that's Atlanta, things of that nature. Even the one-off teams that we've seen, like the 23 Rangers, the 19 Nationals, etc. What the difference is, and I hate to bring them up, but even the Red Sox, because let's be honest, the Red Sox have definitely won, have obviously won more World Series recently than we have.
Another edition.
What did I just hear?
That was me. My bad.
My bad. Okay, no, I just wanted to make sure I wasn't interrupting somebody. But anyway, so the juxtaposition that I was going to draw is that the Yankees bring in talented players and try to make them do certain things. These other teams, that what I see them do, what I see the Dodgers do year in and year out, what I see the Astros do year in and year out, and no, it's not cheap. What I see the Braves do year in and year out, even though this year they sucked, but a lot of that some of that was injuries. Is they play to their players' strengths. So they take an Anthony Volpe, who is not supposed to be a 40 home run hitter. That's not what he is. I love Volpe. And I think that they screwed him this year by making him play through a torn labrum, which he's finally having surgery for. I think you need to bring in another shortstop next year to compete with him. But these people saying we should just get rid of him now, I think is ridiculous. But see, and quite frankly, I feel bad for the guy. But they're not doing is playing to their players' strengths like other teams are. They're trying to get these teams to. It's like when you have football. It's like when you bring in. It's like if you got a coach that says, "I'm going to run a vertical zone run offense," and then he tries to make all 50, or I'm sorry, no, not 53, because but all, let's say 26-ish players that he has on offense run a vertical zone run offense. Okay, but that's not what that's not the guys that you drafted. The best coaches are going to play to their players' strengths and develop this scheme that's going to make those players thrive, right. Not try and force the guys that they have. And that, I think, is where the Yankees are struggling. Not the analytics buzzwords per se, not the, excuse me. I think there's a level of legitimacy to the home run issue. Home runs, just naturally speaking, over the last few years, are, of any statistic, are one of the biggest, indicators of wins. But that doesn't mean that all 9 of your guys, especially guys that are not every player is going to be a home run hitter, and that's okay. There's still room in baseball for guys that aren't home run hitters. But then don't try and take them away from what they are. Volpe was, a couple years ago, he was a 20-20 guy who was a good fielder. Develop him as that. Develop him as a guy who's going to hit about 20-ish home runs and steal 20-25 bases. Be sort of a Jazz Chisholm who can field better and is not a jerk. Those types of guys. There's plenty of room for that, and there's value for that. The issue that I have and that's where I think the Yankees struggled. We saw them do it with Jazz Chisholm last year when they brought him over and they tried to make him a third baseman, which he never played before, because Gleyber Torres, right, who I don't know when he thought he got the cachet to be able to say, I'm a second baseman. Well, not according to your numbers, you're not. Now you're in Detroit. But so all these things happening. So I think that when I hear that there's a philosophical fundamental breakdown with the Yankees, I agree with that. I mean, one of my favorite players of all time, Didi Gregorius, made a comment that came out about a month. He made it years ago, but it came out about a month ago when he was on an injury, what's it called? Rehab assignment, a few years ago. And he got back to the majors and he said to a teammate, and excuse my language, but I want to quote it word for word, "You would not believe some of the bullshit going on down in our minor leagues." Basically saying that there was that the stuff was going on top down.
You're talking of development, right? Development. The way they're developed.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. So people want to say, oh, it's Cashman, it's Hal, it's Boone. The player development, the fact that you've got guys who like Damon Oppenheimer, who's run our amateur scouting department for 20 years and has what to show for it aside from Jordan Montgomery, Aaron Judge, and Brett Gardner. So I agree with the fundamental aspect of things in terms of, there are approach and there are those types of issues. But for people who say, oh, it's analytics, it's the fact that, we don't have, Billy Martin in here. And it's the fact that, we're using, numbers that are math and stats that didn't exist in, 1872. No, that's not, no, I do not agree with. And I think that if you look at the organizations that are winning, it's not the problem of using or not using analytics. It's what's being used. You can have the greatest ingredients in your cupboard, but if you're trying to use them to make the wrong thing, or if you're not trying to use the right ingredients for what you're trying to make, then it doesn't matter.
Well, here's my thing, though, Luigi. Here's my thing. This game has been around forever, right? So the whole thing is
since 1903.
Get guys on base. Then have Aaron Judge come up with 2 guys on base, and if it's a home run, it's 3 runs instead of 1 run. It's common sense. Your second baseman had 30-something home runs. Your shortstop had 19 home runs, and your third baseman had 20 home runs. Yet they all batted 240. What good is it they weren't getting on base for other people? That's why you only scored 849 runs with 207 home runs.
And that's where I said that the archetype of player that they're developing and training these guys to be,
But it's not
or
developing.
encouraging.
They didn't develop Chaz Chisholm. They didn't develop Ryan McMahon. This is who the analytics department told them to go get.
I'm not when I say developing, I'm not just talking about young guys. I'm talking about because again, when guys come over, it's not you're not going to stop coaching a guy at 27. You're still coaching, and it's what's being reinforced or enforced within the organization. So I'm not just talking about young players here. I'm talking about any acquisition that you make, and that includes. But again, Jazz Chisholm, I had other problems with that went off the field. I don't like his mentality. I don't like his attitude. I don't want to see him back in New York next year. And kudos and credit to the fact that he had a 30-30 season, which, we don't know when we'll see that again. But I'm sorry, but you made some of the biggest nonchalant, boneheaded mistakes in the biggest moments. I'm sorry. You can get away with that in Arizona. You can get away with that in Milwaukee. We don't do that here in the Bronx.
Paul, who would you
As I
rather
say,
have as your second baseman, Willie Randolph or Jazz Chisholm?
That's a no-brainer.
But Willie Randolph didn't hit 30 home runs ever.
No, he did not. But he picked the ball.
And that's literally what I said. What I said was not everyone.
His team.
And what I said is not everyone's going to be a home run here. I literally agreed with you on that point.
Paul.
Yes.
Willie Randolph, Bucky Dent, Jazz Chisholm, Anthony Volpe. What group was better?
Well, the group that won the 2 championships in a row, I would say, was better. But I think what's interesting, Nick, is that you and Scoop. Yeah, but you see, Nick, you and Scoop are in violent agreement. Okay, you actually agree. You just don't know it. Okay, so this could be Congress for all I could tell. Okay, the analytics. So using statistics, trying to quantify what's going on a baseball field, in and of itself, I think is a good idea. There were too many things that people said this is a truism that didn't end up being true. Okay, that said, analytics has created a philosophy, and the philosophy is defense doesn't matter, base running doesn't matter. Go up there and hit home runs,
right?
And that's all you have to do. That is a philosophy of baseball that has been pulled out of analytics. Now, when Billy Beane first started using analytics, they were using on-base percentage as their statistic.
Right.
Right. The thought process is, if I've got guys who never make an out, I will score an infinite number of runs. Right. I don't have to hit home runs. If you don't make an out, you're going to hit a zillion home runs.
He gets on base a lot. I don't care if it's a walk.
Exactly. I don't care if it's a walk or a hit, as long as you don't make an out. And I think that has been lost in the effort of trying to hit home runs. So you have a guy up 0-2, and he's still swinging for the fences, as opposed to trying to improve his ability to maybe get on base by just putting the ball in play. Okay.
Right.
To take someone like Anthony Volpe. Okay. To take Scoop's point and Nick's point. This is a guy who, if he decided, we don't want you to hit home runs, we want you to get on base as much as possible, we want you to bunt for base hits, we want you to put the ball in play, his on-base plus slugging percentage might be much higher than it currently is, which makes him more effective. Okay. And so I don't have a problem with trying to quantify baseball. I do have a problem with this new, the old book used to be you bunt in certain situations. This is, you sacrifice, you do certain things. We have a new book that came out of analytics, and the new book is get up there and swing out your, and it doesn't matter whether you have power or not, just keep swinging for the fences, and that's the best way to win. And Nick, to your point, the statistics don't bear that out, because a team that hit 70 more home runs than the 1998 Yankees scored fewer runs than that team.
Right.
So I think that do we want to continue to try to quantify? I think quantifying is a better idea than intuition. There's not enough guys who have good enough intuition to do that job.
Agreed.
I don't think that the new philosophy that has come out of analytics, swing for the fences and don't worry about anything else, is being borne out in success.
You're talking. I'm guessing. You're talking about exit velocity and launch angle.
Yeah.
And here's what I'll say. As somebody who talks a lot about exit velocity and launch angle, they are very valuable. And I'll go back to what I said before. When used correctly, it's not just about the information that you're taking or what you're using. It's when you're using it. Again, if I've got somebody who, for whatever reason, like this whole get on top of the ball, and like Josh Donaldson said, getting on top of the ball, if grounding out, is not going to win you games. So I support when players are trying to adjust their approach with that. And basically what I'm saying is I'm agreeing with you, because I think that it's information that is valuable, but is used in a lot of ways either incorrectly or is relied on as a be all end all when it shouldn't be.
And I mean, let's take a guy like Volpe, because we seem to be on the topic.
Sorry, if he's watching the show, sorry, Anthony, for beating a dead horse with you.
One and two, 2 outs with a runner on second base. I would argue that Anthony Volpe's chance for success would be better if he, again, 1 and 2 count now. He's behind in the count. He's going to have to hit a pitcher's pitch. I would suggest that him trying to go for a launch angle and exit velo is more likely to lead to a strikeout than anything else. Whereas he changes his approach a little bit, maybe he'll ground out, maybe he'll beat it out, maybe it'll hit off the pitcher, the second baseman's shin and roll into second base. We all know that. I mean, Major League Baseball players are excellent defensively. They don't make a lot of mistakes, but it's not high school. But on the other hand, you are far more likely to have something good happen when you put the ball in play.
That's right.
Than when you strike out. So I think both things are the case. I think that the Yankees have become too inflexible in their strategy. I don't think that that's necessarily because they're using statistics. I believe that they bought into a whole new book. They used to say, you go against the book. They bought into a whole new book, and that book is not leading them to be successful. And all you had to do is watch last year's World Series and watch the Dodgers, who are much better at playing baseball,
right,
than the Yankees were.
What did the Dodgers say after the series? They basically said, we knew that if you just force them to if you put them into position to be uncomfortable, they'll make the mistake eventually. And not only did they make the mistake, they made the most mistakes I've ever seen in one inning.
Well, and I think too, there's kind of a confidence thing. I remember back, I never played any sports because I have no coordination or stamina or physical strength. Other than that, I would have been a hell of an athlete. But I was involved in the teams. I did a lot of statistics and stuff. And I remember we would go play teams from like Northern Connecticut. And you get up to their field, and they had kids, they had kids in the dugout who had the different color shirt on, and you beat those teams. You know what I mean? You went up and you beat those teams. They didn't seem like they were serious about what they were doing. You watch the Yankees, and a throw comes in, and Jazz Chisholm's not looking for it, and it bounces over his glove. You beat those teams in the playoffs. And the Yankees are one of those teams that you beat, and you beat them because they don't look like they know what they're doing. And these are major leaguers. They shouldn't be surprised when a guy takes an extra base. And when I watch the number of mental errors they make defensively and the number of mental errors that they make on the base paths, and that is also a result of essentially the analytics approach that says those things aren't really that important, right? One of the things in the new book is that defense doesn't make that much of a difference. And if you look at the Oakland A's, when they first went into the analytics, they played guys out of position because they felt at the end of the day it was more important to get sticks in the lineup than it was to worry about defense. I don't know that that's the best philosophy anymore, because I've seen teams that are good defensively go further in the playoffs than the Yankees do consistently. So that's my take, Nick.
So what I agree with you is when this whole thing started, on base percentage was valued and emphasized more than it is now, correct? And on Luigi's point, where it's training, these kids at a lower level in the minor leagues are taught the Aaron Judge swing with velo and exit velocity and launch angle and all that, right? So when they come into majors, they're not trying to, hit a line drive to left center. They're trying to hit the ball over the fence every at bat. They're not trying to make solid contact with runners on second and third. They're trying to, hit the ball. Am I correct? Is that what you guys are both saying?
Well, Well, what I'm saying is certainly that there are the overall philosophy: never get up and out. Try to hit the ball as hard as you can. There are a lot of situations where it isn't going to be the most effective way to score runs. And I think that, to be honest with you, I think that they need to do a deeper dive into the numbers. I think that they need to do a lot more situational studies. I want to know, runner on third, one out, what happens if a guy's swinging for the fences versus a guy who's made a decision to put the ball in play with a high launch angle and less exit velo. In other words, hit a fly ball. What teams score more runs in that situation? And there's going to be times when a guy's got a runner on third and he hits the ball into the Hudson River, and there's going to be other times when he strikes out. I'd like to know on a situation by situation basis if we're going to use these numbers and the data and computers. Let's do it situationally.
But
Because
Paul,
baseball is a
really good with
situational game.
numbers. You went to an Ivy League school. It's common sense. If a team bats 250 and a team bats 280, the team that bats 280s is going to score more runs because they had more runners on base to score. Correct?
Well, if you do it with on-base percentage, I would agree with you.
Right. Okay, do it with on-base percentage.
Right. If you've got a team with a 310 on-base percentage and another team with a 340 on-base percentage, the team with the 340 on-base percentage should score more runs.
Right, but on-base percentage isn't value.
And the original A's, the original Moneyball A's, were looking for guys who had big differentials between their on-base percentage and their batting average.
Yeah.
Right? They were looking for guys that the rest of baseball said,
Right.
this guy's a 240
Right.
hitter, and they knew he walked 50, 60 times a season and was therefore just as effective as a guy who was hitting 290 but never walked.
And
All right, so we set the table, and now let's go position by position, and let's start with catcher, because like A-Rod says, we have three left-handed hitting catchers. What is that all about? And Ben Rice isn't a catcher, right?
Right.
Okay, so Austin Wells is going to be your catcher next year?
For now, yes.
A lefty hitter going to hit 20 home runs, right? Decent behind the plate.
For now, yes, because of anybody that we've had since Trevino left, he's definitely the best defensive catcher we have, or that we have the ability to realistically get.
Yeah, and Scoop, that was going to be my point. Who are you going to replace him with?
Right.
And that's just it. Like people say, we got to get somebody else, and they think that you're just going to magically be able to, brainwash a team into giving us, Adley Rutschman. Like, that's not going to happen.
Right. Posada's not going to suddenly show up at 25 years old and walk onto the field.
You can win a pennant with Austin Wells as your catcher, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, we just did.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we didn't win the pennant, but yeah, we won a wild card. Nicole, who's your favorite Yankee?
Aaron Judge.
All right, that's an easy one. So we're bringing back Aaron Judge. We're not okay. So now let's go down to first base. Paul Goldschmidt. What are you doing with first base, Paul?
So I think Goldschmidt has said he's retired.
I didn't even see that.
I thought I saw that he had announced his retirement. Maybe somebody could take a look at that while I'm talking.
I'm checking that right now because I do not.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing that myself. I know he's thinking about it, right? But I haven't. And he had a very good year for what he was paid to do.
Yeah, I've seen nothing that says that he's confirming that at all.
Okay, so I'm still going to go with Ben Rice. Okay, I think he's a good hitter. I think he's young. I think he's improving defensively. I think he needs to continue to work defensively because first base is an idiomatic position defensively. And I think that he needs to work a little bit more on things like scoops, things like swipe tags, things like going down the first baseline to on the fly ball. But I think he's certainly adequate offensively, and I think he'd certainly be solid.
All right. So what do you? So Goldschmidt, is he a free agent? You just don't re-sign him.
I'm pretty sure he's a free agent.
All right. So now you have a lefty catcher, lefty power hitting catcher, and a lefty power hitting first base. Okay. So we have Wells catching, Rice at first. 2 left. So now we go to a shortstop, a second baseman, who's another power hitting lefty. What do you do? What do you do with Chad?
I'm not bringing him back.
Was he a free agent?
No, but I'm trading him.
Who's this? Who's the last person you said? I'm sorry.
Luigi Cashman is gonna trade Jazz Chisholm.
I love Jazz Chisholm. I think since we got him last season, I think he adds a little spunk to our offense. You know,
I don't disagree with you, but I think that what he took away from us in big moments, sort of neutralified that. That's not a word, but you know what I mean. Neutralize that.
So you want to get a second baseman with a better on-base percentage, better defensively, and a right-handed hitter for balance, correct?
Yes.
Now, is that player out there? I'm sure he is.
Well, I mean, again, that's going to open up depending on, what's available on the free agent versus the trade market. And there's always guys on the trade market that we'll never really know, who's truly available versus not. If I'm pulling up the list of free agents real quickly, if my computer would stop acting like it's running on 1980. But yeah, because I do know that that comparatively, this is not considered to be one of the best free agent classes when it comes to infielders. I know that Bregman just that could be an interesting situation because if you remember last year, the discussion was about Bregman. Would he be willing to move to second base if they hadn't traded Devers?
Right.
So I do wonder if that conversation comes back up again with regard to New York, sort of almost similar to like an A-Rod type of thing.
Wouldn't you want to play Bregman at third?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm not actually saying this is who I would go after. It was a name that came out when I was talking about guys who I knew were available. But for example, like you said, there's guys I don't really love the idea of playing guys out of position. The one second baseman I know, or the kind of utility infielder I know who keeps jumping out to me is Miguel Rojas. I know that Miguel Rojas has had beef with Jazz Chisholm, but again, in my version of things, Jazz Chisholm wouldn't be bad next year. So, but I think that he's somebody who could help potentially both at shortstop and second base, and play third in a pinch as well.
So, Paul, what do you think about Jazz?
I don't know. I agree with Luigi in terms of his demeanor and the way he projects himself on the field, and I think that he does suffer from Bernie Williams syndrome, in that half the time he doesn't seem to know that he's actually on a baseball field.
Right.
That said, this past year he did everything that they wanted him to do. He changed positions when they told him to. He batted wherever they wanted him to. He sat on the bench when they wanted him to. And I don't remember really him doing all that much complaining about that stuff. He's still, he's, the scoop. I agree. He's nuts. He spends too much time at home plate watching his home runs. He's liable to get hit in the back of the head by a cutoff throw.
It wasn't even at the plate. Wasn't even my real problem with them, or with him rather. It just, again, and I give him all the credit in the world for the hits that he got and for the offensive production that he gave us. But I saw him be too chill with it. He gave me Robinson Cano vibes. I saw him be too chill with it in the middle of big games at second base, and it just felt like he believed his talent would take over. And I didn't like that.
Robinson Cano, did you know I take him over Jazz Chisholm in a heartbeat? Right? I mean, come on. Nicole, what do you think about Jazz Chisholm?
I like him.
Nicole likes him. Bobby likes him. I mean, a guy who, 30 home runs, 30 stolen bases. Another lefty, though, but at Yankee Stadium, I'd keep him. So now shortstop. What do you do with Volpe? Volpe's not a bad defensive player when you don't have 45,000 maniacs screaming at him, but he batted .208.
And when he's not playing with a torn freaking labrum.
So you see how he does at spring training, right?
Yeah, I agree. I do bring in another player to kind of compete with him, but I'll say this: when I say bring in, we may already have that in Caballero. So
Right.
I'm giving him a legitimate shot in spring training.
Yeah. Okay. So we agree with that. Bobby, you okay with that?
Yeah, I think that guy, the guy who came in did very well.
All right.
You know,
Now moving
I'm
over
for
to
that.
third base, we have another lefty bat, but he's a very good defensive player. But he can't hit. I mean, he's a 210 hitter. You know, what do you
Yeah,
think of third base?
he's got to go next.
He's got to go.
He feels great. He's got to go. You cannot, if we're going to talk about living with Wells and living with a shortstop that's not great offensively, then we got to get offense from the corner infield positions, and we got to get offense from the corner outfield positions. You're going to get offense from Rice, but you cannot live with a 210 hitter because he plays a good third base. And Bregman's going to be out there.
What about Oswaldo?
And
Can he come back?
Well, that was the next thing that I was going to bring up if Mr. Justovan hadn't, because I don't know if he's going to be. I don't know exactly what his prognosis is for spring training, but yeah, I just wanted to mention that he is going to be back.
He's a very, very valuable player because he plays every position.
Yeah, and that's one thing about him this year that I didn't really want to lock him into every day at third base because of that. I think a big part of his value is being able to be plugged in, played, most positions.
But I would love and the reason I want to bring him in is because he's a cheater from a cheating team, and I would love to have Bregman here so that he's not cheating against us. Maybe he'd be cheating for us. I hated Roger Clemens until he put on the pinstripes, and then I spent an enormous amount of time telling people that pitching inside was part of the game. So, he's probably the best third baseman out there. To do something that's going to hurt the Red Sox and help us is, two good things that happens. So I would like to see, he would be my third baseman if we could get him.
Nicole, what do you think about third base? Ryan McMahon fan?
I don't think I know him.
Well, he ended the year as a Yankee starting third baseman. He's a lefty hitter with a little pop who bats 210 and, great fielder. But we need a right-handed bat at third, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, excuse me, sorry. I like what you said, Mr. Justafan, about the kind of thorn in the side of Boston there. And I do think Bregman makes a decent amount of sense. Another guy I could see them going after, somebody that a lot of us, when I say a lot of us, I wasn't in this group, but a lot of us thought would be the right fit for third base at the deadline, which was Eugenio Suarez, who's a free agent now. Now, I did want McMahon over Suarez, and in McMahon's defense, no pun intended, he did come through with a couple of big hits when needed most. So I wouldn't be surprised if that were something that we kind of ran it back at third base, and I don't hate it the way that some others might about the idea of doing that. There's also, excuse me, again, I'm not loving this whole mentality that we've had recently, because it feels like we're always in a competition it feels like the Yankees are always in a competition with themselves when it comes to, okay, are we going to go with, signing these long-term deals and then blocking prospects in doing so? Or are we going to trust the prospects and then forego signing these long-term deals? It feels like there's always a lot of discrepancy and disagreement about that. So I think that's going to be something that's going to have to be reconciled as well. But one thing that I will bring up, that I don't want it to get slept on. We have a prospect, Jesus Rodriguez, who's expected to be able to join Major League Baseball and join the Yankees in the major leagues next year.
Where was Jesus last year?
AAA. He's a prospect.
No, I understand, but he wasn't. He was not a double. He was the whole year at AAA.
I think he was at AA.
Okay.
But he was somebody as I'm sorry, I have to correct myself because Jesus Rodriguez, I was reading off of something that I guess was incorrect. Jesus is no longer in the organization, so I want to
forget about Jesus. But yeah, because I went to a couple summer and I don't remember seeing Jesus.
No, he was traded in the Camilo Duvall deal.
Okay. So now we're going to go.
Anyway,
now there's a whole third base. We don't want to bring this man back. Want to try to get a righty, and maybe Oswaldo as a backup. So right field, we're not touching, but we're going to keep him in right field. Correct?
Here's what I will jump in and say. I have to see how his arm is because I did not like what I saw from his arm later in the year. Guys were a lot more comfortable running on him than they typically
your right
are.
Fielder has to have a strong arm.
That's my point.
Roberto Clemente arm, yeah.
That's my point. Like, if I'm not loving what I'm seeing from his arm, then that puts me in a really uncomfortable position with him in terms of, do we maybe try and see if he can play, another position? I don't know how that would even begin to work, but I do think that we have to be honest about those conversations if and when they happen. I need to see what his arm looks like, because there were genuinely times toward the end of this season where I asked myself, I don't know if this can be our everyday right fielder next year.
Right. So you'd play him in center.
No, to me, center. To me, center for my go-to for center to start the season right now is Jason Dominguez.
Jason Dominguez as your center fielder?
Yes.
Not Trent Grisham?
Say that
You're
again?
going to drop Trent Grisham? Paul, talk sense into him.
Trent Grisham is not under contract for next season. But when you already have Cody Bellinger that we are probably going to look to re-sign, and I expect
you got to sign Cody Bellinger.
Sorry?
You have to sign Cody Bellinger.
That's my point. So you have Cody Bellinger, who presumably, if he comes back, presumably would play left. You've got Jason Dominguez, who clearly can't play the Yankee Stadium left field, which is not an easy left field. Probably might be the only stadium where left field is harder to play than center. So that's why I think that's the arrangement you have. I mean, Judge, I don't think I don't think you're going to move him back to center when his defense played down last year when he had to play there when we brought in Soto.
Paul, who's the kid? And I saw him, and I apologize, I don't remember his name. He was at Double-A and then went up to Triple-A and went crazy. Bobby went crazy. What?
Spencer Jones.
Talking about Spencer Jones.
Spencer Jones. Is he major league ready?
I'm putting him on the trading block.
What?
I'm putting him on the trading block.
You're going to trade your best prospect? Oh my God! Are you a Met fan?
He's not our best prospect. Best prospect is George Lombard Jr.
Oh my God!
And yes, I'm trading him. I'm trading him for 3 reasons. One, excuse me. Oh, I'm sorry. I shouldn't say I'm putting him on the trading block.
Cashman look good, for Christ's sakes.
Let me
Okay,
finish
I apologize.
Okay. His strikeout rates are increasing every time he gets up higher. You're not going to suddenly strike out less unless the hand of God touches you. You're not going to strike out less going from AAA to the major leagues. And I don't need to see another 40% strikeout hitter. We started this whole segment, this whole show talking about how all home runs and then 3 true outcomes and strikeouts was not the way to do. And now you're advocating for bringing another one to the team. I don't think that, especially when you've already got a surplus of guys you've got who play between outfield and first base. You've already got Rice likely taking down the first base spot. So that means that's a spot that Bellinger could have played where he's not going to be playing. So that's going to move him presumably to the outfield on a full-time basis. So, you're either going to put him in, left field, at which point you're going to have to make a decision about Jason Dominguez, who has already proven himself, at least to an extent, that he can handle that he can handle the major league. It was defense was his problem, but that's why we talk about a different position. I think that Spencer Jones in particular, and that's why when I was talking about the handling of prospects earlier, it's like where do you play this guy, and has he shown anything outside of the power that's worth me taking a chance on him striking out 40% of the time in our major league lineup? I just don't see it, especially when it's not at a position of need. It's at a position of depth.
But so maybe I'm a little contradictory, but according to Paul and their computer, they must love Spencer Jones, right? Because he does what they want to do.
Yeah, he hits home runs and strikes out. He's a true Yankee.
He's a
But
true
no,
Yankee.
Well,
no, but
go ahead.
Go
Sorry.
on, Paul. Come
but
on.
if I could jump in a little bit here, first of all, I wish Grissom was under contract
So do I.
because I would trade Grissom if he was under contract. He's coming
I
off a career
agree with you.
year.
Right.
Somebody's going to overpay for him,
Yep.
right? Somebody's going to look at last year's numbers and pay and give you in return that guy as opposed to the guy he's always been. I believe that people constantly return to the mean.
He also folded like a lawn chair in October.
So I think that from the point of view of if he were under contract, I would trade him. Jason Dominguez, I'm not sold as him defensively. He's very Clyde Frazier-esque in my mind. You know, I don't know that he's good enough to play outfield in the major leagues. And I don't know if that's a skill that you can acquire. You know, if he could acquire that skill, I think he could play. He's certainly fast enough to play center field. He's got a strong enough arm to play.
He was one of our best. He was one of our best runners and base stealers late in the season.
Yeah, so he's got the tools, but he needs to develop the skills. If he's willing to develop them and he's willing to work all winter, then I'd be perfectly happy to put him out there. But right now, he's not good enough to play center field, and he would be a horror show.
Yeah, he was a horror show and left.
Now, as far as Spencer Jones is concerned, I would hold judgment on minor leaguers till they play in the major leagues. To Scoop's point, if you can get somebody to overpay for him and get somebody back in return that's going to help you on the major league roster now, I would not consider him to be untouchable as a prospect. Right. That said, you know, I don't want to project how many strikeouts he's going to have in the major leagues because I'd like to see him face major league pitching for 500 or 600 at bats before we make a decision like that. So, you know,
that's fair. But my only question, if I may respond to you, is with the lineup or with the roster construction we have, where are those 600 at bats going to come from? We're not going to just, you know, you're not taking Stanton out of the lineup. He's our
DH. Well, we're good. Right. Stanton's our DH.
So we're not taking him out of the lineup. You're sure as shucks not moving Judge out of right field unless he absolutely shows that you have to.
Right.
So, you know, and my thought originally was to put him at first base, but then Ben Rice popped. So you're not going to move him off of first base unless you're moving him to catcher. And I don't want to move him to catcher because he's not as good of a catcher defensively as Austin Wells, and his bat's going to play down by moving him off of first.
So the plan is to get Judges solid and right. Re-sign Bellinger as a priority for left. He had a great year, 98 RBIs. And then play around with center field, correct?
Yeah. So I've got a question. How much money do we owe Stan?
Let me check real quick.
I like Stan as DH, though.
I like him. He hits rockets. There's something very fun to watch. When he hits the ball, it stays hit. But I would have to believe that we are absolutely overpaying him for what his production is now.
Well, he gets hurt.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too. You know, I mean, it's actually good because you need the 300 at bats that you get when he's on the bench.
Here we are. It's the next 2 years. It's come on, now my computer has to go and freeze. Here we are. Next 2 years, it's 22 and 22, and then it's got a club option for 2028.
Okay.
So he's not making a terrible amount of money for what he's going to give us. No,
I mean, I guess what I'm wondering is there somebody who you could trade him to if you threw in $5 or $6 million of salary?
Let me ask you this question though, because you go back to the last 7 or 8 years. What have people been saying the Yankees don't have enough of more often than not? I mean, you hear 5 million different answers to that, but what I'm getting to is people talk about guys do it in the postseason or guys do it in the regular season, but not in October. Guys do it in the regular season, but not in October. Until this season, he was not only our most reliable October hitter since he came here. He was one of our most reliable October hitters ever. So that's where my struggle comes with moving off of him. Is sometimes you've had those guys, and and you know it stinks that he was as injured as he was for a while. But sometimes you just have those guys where it's like, okay, I see this in football where you put up with the fact that you're only going to have him for 10 to 12 games of the regular season because he's going to be a mother blinker in October,
right?
Mm-hmm.
Or in this case, January.
And I get that, but at the same time, the only position he can play is DH, and that takes a lot of flexibility away from all the other stuff that we're talking about.
I totally agree with you there, and it's definitely a trade off that you gotta evaluate. I definitely agree with that. It's
but
just
if he's healthy, he could bat 260 or so, which in this league is very
and
good.
and also
90 RBIs.
and also and it's funny because Ben Rice popping as a hitter may have actually been a detriment to the Yankees when it comes to roster construction, because
Right.
first base had a lot of possibilities in terms of guys that we could
Right.
move there to flexible. But Ben Rice, unless Ben Rice somehow becomes a possibility at another position, the fact that he actually emerged as a legitimate long-term first baseman may have actually hurt other players on the Yankees.
So we just did the whole infield, outfield, and catcher and DH. Bobby, who is Garrett Cole coming back? Is he going to be our ace next year?
Who's that? I'm sorry.
Garrett Cole.
I think with him coming back next year, we should have the best rotation in baseball.
Right.
If he comes back healthy, right? Between him, Fried, I think.
Now, what month did he have the surgery?
May or June, right? Or earlier.
You talk about Cole with the Tommy John?
Yeah. When did he have his Tommy John?
No, his Tommy John was in March.
And what's the turnaround on that? 16 months? Is it 14 months?
It used to be. Now it's closer to 12 to 14.
Okay, so you're looking at June where you have him at full strength.
I think that's my guess is that it's going to be somewhere around there. I wouldn't be surprised if, because of who he is, how old he is and such, I wouldn't be surprised if they slow play his rehab and he comes back around the All-Star break. But my guess is that you'll start to see him in games somewhere in June.
Okay.
So worst case scenario, you're starting the year with Fried, Rodon, Heel, that's Cole, and Smith as your starters, right? And then not counting Will Warren.
So my guess for the projected rotation right now, not in any particular order, is Fried, Heel,
Rodon,
Schlittler, obviously, and then I got to double check about Clark Schmidt. I don't remember if he's going to be back or not.
But if not, Will Warren was decent as a 5-starter, right?
Yeah, for as much as Will Warren can be a headache to watch, I'll take him over most 5 starters in the league.
Right. Okay.
So one thing I think we're missing a little bit, and getting back to Spencer Jones, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't Aaron Judge held back a lot in the minors because they thought he had some flaws, and he turned out to be this Hall of Fame hitter? Player?
Yeah, and that's one thing that people hold against him in terms of his career totals is because he didn't debut until he was 25.
And
did you want to trade? Did you want to trade Aaron Judge?
No.
Okay.
So my point is, what held him back? What was the reason he started so late? Was the injuries in the minors, or was it the strikeouts?
That part I honestly don't remember.
Was it developmental because he's tall? Coordination?
That's another thing too, is that the archetype, the physical, or the prototype rather, physically, there really was just no frame of reference when it came to him,
right.
But excuse me, sorry, but also he was like you said, he was developed very slowly, et cetera, but Spencer Jones has just not shown also the same level of ability to make consistent contact that Judge ultimately was able to do as he progressed through the minors. So that's another concern that people, including myself, have.
All right, so now we're on to the area that needs the most improvement, the bullpen.
Yes.
Paul, who do you bring back? Or who do you not bring back?
Well, I want to bring back the guy who closed, who, believe it or not, I cannot remember his name.
Bednar or something?
Bednar?
He's not a free. He's not a free agent, buddy.
He's not.
No, we have him for a couple of years.
Okay, well, I want him. outside of that, I don't know what to do with that bullpen. Everyone looked good at points. Everybody looked horrible at points. And there were so many different guys. Like I struggle to even remember the names of the bullpen guys anymore. There were, I don't think, to be honest with you, I don't think they should go out bullpen help. I think that there's plenty of guys on that team. They just have to find the ones who are going to play. Who are going to play well. I'm not exactly sure.
What about
And so
Devin
I'm going to
Williams?
go. Well, how long is he signed for?
He's got a club option for next year that's valued at $3 million.
$3 million?
Yeah. So
that's what I make. I for $3 million, I could bring him back for that.
Yeah, that's my thought. Is they have two club options for next year that pertain to the bullpen. One is Tim Hill for $3 million, which I would accept, and the other one, which I would decline, unfortunately, is for Jonathan Loaisiga for $5 million.
Yeah, I mean he's always injured. And by the way, Mark Leiter Jr. is someone who I would like to, perhaps get him a job selling hot dogs at the stadium because I never want him near the mound again.
Oh my God! Paul, tell us what you think.
I don't know. I mean, if there was a pitcher who automatically had me reaching for the remote because I didn't want to see it, it was him. Williams potential
for a period of time for me, it was Camilo Doval.
Oh, he was horrible at first.
Williams I might bring back.
I'm bringing back Devin Williams.
And I don't know what to do. What do you do with?
Got better, right? He got a little better. Devin Williams got better.
He got better, yeah.
Like
and also because we have Bednar now, he doesn't have and this is what I think a lot of people forgot for a while, is because they had Hader, Williams was not actually the ninth inning guy for a while in Milwaukee for a lot of his best years. So right. I think if you put him as a 7th or 8th inning guy, I think that he'll play up. And now that we have Bednar, it allows him to do that.
And what do you do with Weaver?
It sucks to say this, but here's what I'd say. If Weaver's willing to take a minor league deal that gives him what?
You're tough.
What I was going to say is, if Weaver's willing to take a minor league deal that because you can structure a minor league deal where it allows you to get money if you make the major league team by a certain time throughout the year. That's what I'm asking if he's willing to do. A lot of respect for what Weaver used to be able to do, but he fell off a hill and he fell down that damn thing fast.
So he needs to change the scenery. He needs to change the scenery.
And that's why I said if I'm bringing him back, I'm asking him if he's willing to take that. Otherwise, it's thanks for the memories, but that's it.
I disagree with Paul, and I don't know who it is, but you got to strengthen your bullpen, especially when you have starters. With Brian Cashman's computer only letting him throw 95 pitches, so you need a deep bullpen. My opinion.
The one or two guys who I am bringing back that I wouldn't have said probably 3 or 4 months ago, I'm bringing back Paul Blackburn, and I might bring back Ryan Yarbrough. I didn't think I was going to bring back either one of them, but I think they showed me a decent amount later in the season where it's like, okay, maybe if I can at least get you to spring training and see what you're up to, we might be able to find you that 25th or 26th spot on the roster.
Now, Scoop, do the Yankees have any minor league pitchers that are considered to be good prospects?
Well, that's why in the beginning of this conversation, that's why I said, that's why I said that's where I would look, because one name that I think doesn't get talked about enough, who's going to be coming back from Tommy John. I don't know if it'll be right away, but one name that's going to be coming back from Tommy John, one of our formerly top prospects, is the name Chase Hampton. So Chase Hampton is somebody that I think could find his way into the bullpen mix. I know they really like what they saw out of Elmer Rodriguez Cruz, which is a guy for whom we traded Carlos Narvaez to the Red Sox. I think he's somebody who's in play in that bullpen. And I think that there was I know Trent Sellers they like and Bryce Cunningham as well, Carlos LaGrange. So yes, so basically what I'm saying is there's I think 6 or 7 guys on our prospect list who are pitchers who I think could impact that bullpen in 2026.
And I think one of the other things that we just probably want to do, and I'll just rattle off the numbers. Wells is 25.
Yes.
Chisholm's is 27. Volpe's 24.
Yes.
Dominguez is 22,
How old
Yes.
is
and
Rice?
Rice is 26.
Okay,
Yes.
that's a young team.
So there is, we think of Judge and Stanton, the bulwarks. They're both getting older. Cole's getting older.
Bellinger.
But the guys they have on this team, there are a lot of guys whose best baseball is ahead of them.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and that's kind of the odd position the Yankees are in right now, is because their perceived core is, and meaning like the 4 or 5 guys who are making 20+ million a year, they're perceived. Well, actually, Fried isn't even making that yet. His biggest contract years in terms of finances are still down the road. But those guys, in a lot of cases, I'm talking about the Judges, the Rodons, Stanton. Those guys are obviously in their mid 30s in many cases, or upper 30s. And this is where the Yankees needed to be for a while, is you're going to have a lot of cost controlled young talent also on that roster as well.
Right.
That was another thing that made other teams be able to have, I think, more success than the Yankees, was that those teams were hitting on those guys that were making only league minimum, or were making a million or 2 million a year. Everybody that was significantly statistically relevant to their team and having the success that helped lead their roster, both pitching and otherwise, weren't just those guys making that 20 to 30 million a year. It was those guys that they were paying, and that they weren't going to have to lose control of for another 5 years.
All right, so we had a very intelligent and spirited talk about the roster, and now we're going to go with the manager. And should Aaron? Now they fired Luigi, broke it. Or I guess the bullpen wasn't great last year, so they got rid of the bullpen coach. Well, Mike Harkey, who was
got rid of
for
Mike Harkey.
years.
Yep, Mike Harkey had been there since 2008, with the exception of 2 seasons he spent in Arizona in 2014 and 2015. And then out the door with him as well was first base coach Travis Chapman, who may be best known for his mano a mano that he had against Jazz Chisholm in the middle of the summer. That honestly, I was surprised he was brought back after that day to begin with.
So they're not getting rid of Aaron Boone, and I'm going to argue that Aaron Boone doesn't make decisions. Okay, he's not making strategy. He's not doing the lineup. All that stuff. He's pulling his pitchers when the analytics tell him to pull his pitchers. What he does is he manages egos. He makes sure that everybody gets along. He pumps up his players. He sticks up for his players. That's the manager that they want, and he's very good at that aspect of the job. So for the job description, he's the guy. I mean, I don't agree with the job description, but if that's the job description, you're bringing him back. Nicole, you bringing back Aaron Boone?
So
wait, let Nicole.
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, he's been with the Yankees for so long. I mean, I'm glad to see there's some leadership change in that, so to say, but we won't really know until next season to see if that makes any difference.
Right. So you'd be fine if they brought him back.
I'm kind of indifferent. Like, I mean, I don't follow it enough to know, like, from the get-go. Like, if we're talking hockey, I could tell you right now that the Devils really need to get rid of their goaltending coach. For the past 5 years, they should have gotten rid of him, and they haven't.
All right, we'll save that for the Devils show. Paul, your thoughts, Aaron Boone?
So, I think that Aaron Boone is not the problem.
Right.
I think that there's an entire philosophy, and if you want to change the philosophy of that team, you've got to start with Cashman, and you've got to basically, turn into, create a new environment. Aaron Boone is tied with Ralph Halk for most consecutive seasons being the Yankee manager without winning a World Series.
Right.
So, I mean, they're in the playoffs most years. They never really get over the hump. And that's where he's been. That's what he has done. Now, I don't agree that the job of the manager is to keep everybody happy. I think the job of the manager is to demand excellence, even if you're not making the strategic decisions.
Right.
And I don't think we're not in the clubhouse. None of us know what he says to the players when there's no reporters around. But when I see him constantly making excuses for the players, when his relentlessly annoying optimism is, I mean,
Right.
if I'm the guys, if I'm one of the players and I'm 0 for 37 and I'm listening to my manager say, well, he's right there, I'm going to take a baseball bat to his head. So I don't believe that his relentless optimism is enough of a demand for excellence. I think that you need to be afraid of your boss a little bit. I've
Right.
been afraid of every boss I've ever had a
Right.
little bit. And I don't think anybody in that clubhouse is afraid of Aaron Boone.
But to Luigi's point from yesterday, they fired that guy. They fired Joe Girardi.
Yes, they did. And
Right.
and that's why I say that there needs to be the change needs to come at a higher level.
Right.
Because to your point, Cashman has exactly the guy that he wants.
Right.
He doesn't make waves. He's happy. He's sweet. He does whatever the front office tells him when it comes to managerial decisions. And and he says sweet things in the press. He's the manager Cashman wants.
Right.
So if you want to implement change, you got to get rid of Cashman.
And they're not going to do that. Hal loves Cashman.
No, and it's hard when you look at the overall success they've had to make the case that you should get rid of him.
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of teams that would like to have had the kind of success that the Yankees have had under Brian Cashman. Because if you get away from us and we want to win a World Series every year, and you look at that team and how often they're in the playoffs and how consistently they're winning more than 90 games, he's putting a competitive product on the field every single year.
And that competitive product with Randy Levine and Al Steinbrenner is exactly what they want, because they're getting 45,000 plus people every night, fannies in the seats, who are spending a lot of money, a lot more money than they were spending 10 years ago, right? The concessions are open early. They got great concession stands, and and its tickets are more than they've ever been. So the revenue stream is there.
And I think one of the things we have to remember is that a fan, which is what we all are, the root of the word fan is fanatic.
Fanatic.
Right? So we're all frustrated because they haven't won a world championship. Now, if we were living in Pittsburgh watching the Pirates every day, there wouldn't be even having that conversation, right? You look at the Colorado Rockies, you look at the team, Miami, and the Miami Marlins. There's a lot of teams that have been bad for a long time. We've been good but not great for a long time, and that might actually be more frustrating.
Right.
Right, because you go into the season and you say we have hopes. This is the year we're going to do it. I don't think there's anybody in Colorado who went into the baseball season thinking this is our year. And I think that for a fan, it's the meeting expectations. And Yankee fans' expectations are a championship every year. They're unrealistic, but that's the way it is in New York.
And as long as you're getting 90, 95 wins a year, being in the battle for your division, which is one of the toughest divisions, you're going to get fannies in the seats. So the revenue is going to be there. So Hal's going to be happy, right?
Yeah, and we're going to watch the S Network because the games are going to matter.
Right.
I mean, I spent the whole last week. I watched every game, every inning of every game.
Right.
Yep.
Right. Now I don't do paywalls. If they want to sell something to Apple Plus, they can go jump in a lake. But
Paul.
no, I'm sorry. I mean,
you told him to speak his mind. He's
I love it. No. We're not WSU. No sense. We're on here. Sorry about that. I know.
And I'm editing myself. I said jump in a lake as opposed to what I wanted to say that I can't say on a family show.
We'll have you on What's the Scoop soon. You can say it on there.
But they are getting people to pay extra money to watch Wednesday night baseball.
That Luigi's cat. Did your cat wake up?
What the hell was that?
That was not a cat. That was coming from one of y'all.
No.
Wasn't me.
It
I'm
wasn't
here.
me. If it was me, why would it have scared me that bad?
Because the cat's under the chair.
No, the cat wouldn't have been yelling out of my speakers.
Oh
Oh, God.
So now Luigi lives in a haunted house.
Sleep in a
I
low
know.
ride.
Luigi, do you get? I'm getting totally random here, but do you get trick or treaters in Mississippi? Dude,
Last Halloween, I was nose deep in a book. I don't even think I.
you
I
don't
even
put
think I
candy
dressed
out
up.
with the trick or treaters. Do they trick or treat in Mississippi?
I'm sure they trick or treat down here, but I was not a part of it, nor was I at the door handing it out
You're
to
not.
anybody.
So do they egg you? No, they don't. Nobody because you don't give them. No,
I
Well,
didn't know what you said.
they
Well,
don't
we
egg
just-
your house because you don't give them candy.
I live in an apartment complex, so
Okay.
if they egg somebody, it's not my problem.
That's too bad. See, I had an image of Ryan living in this old Mississippi mansion,
my
you know, with the big white columns and the everything's dark. And he's
I mean, you were on track when you said old. This building, I think, existed when I think Andrew Jackson was in office.
used to be
Oh.
somebody's house. Now it's 20 apartments.
Bobby, do you actually have are there actually visitors at the resort right now? Are there people going up there?
Yeah, there's a big group here for the Delaware River Conservation, and there's some timeshare guests, some hotel guests.
But during the week or only on weekends?
No, it'll be busier. It's busier on the weekends at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, Bobby, the leaves got to be beautiful up there, no?
Yeah.
Finally started turning this week. It's been a pretty weird season. So here's a point I wanted to make. I think we are witnessing. I never thought I would say this actually, but we are witnessing. I remember my dad being a big Yankee fan, and his favorite player was Mickey Mantle, right?
Right.
We are witnessing a historic career for Aaron Judge that is going to go down in history as Dan Marino-esque. Like he's never going to win that championship unless we do something real soon.
Almost like Don Mattingly.
Don Mattingly and Bobby Mercer.
Yeah. Oh, another point I want to make real quick. But so, we got to start building around Aaron Judge. He's not going to be hitting 50 home runs every year. Maybe he has another year or two of that. It'll be a slow decline. Hopefully not. But, again, he started late, so he's up in age compared to most people. So, I don't know. I want to see this team succeed, and they have to put the right components around. I'm not sold with Aaron Boone. I've been anti-Aaron Boone for a while now. I think it was need a new coach, a new voice in there. But like I said, everything's computer-driven now.
Yeah.
So what does that really? What does that tell you? Now, I would say here's a question for everybody. Do you want to see Don Mattingly get a ring with Toronto or have him lose now? I want to see Don Mattingly in pinstripes again.
Yeah,
I'll root for the Dodgers to win if it's against the Blue Jays.
Yeah, I mean,
Don Mattingly.
Give me that one more
I'm
time.
not rooting for the Dodgers no matter what.
No, I'll never root for the Dodgers.
I'll be rooting for. My favorite non-Yankee in baseball is Shohei Ohtani.
So I guess what I'm saying is like, I don't know. I think it's time to give somebody else a chance.
I don't want Don Mattingly. I don't want Don Mattingly on this staff.
I want to be the head coach, the manager. No.
Why can't anybody can do what Aaron Boone does?
And I was actually kind of rooting for a Seattle-Milwaukee World Series.
Yeah, so was I.
Seattle's never been there. Milwaukee hasn't been there since 1982.
Yep.
Plus,
what's
Milwaukee
the uniqueness about that Seattle-Milwaukee?
Plus, Milwaukee used to be the Seattle Pilots, so it would just
Seattle
be all
Pilots.
I forgot about that for a second. Oh wow.
All four.
And plus, the fact that it would probably get a -5 rating with those two cities.
That's what I keep asking is, if we got that World Series, how would it compare to the Texas-Arizona one that had the worst ratings ever?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, just probably the worst, not the worst, but probably the most disliked take I've ever had on sipping on What's the Scoop with regard to the Yankees was saying that I wish that the Don Mattingly for Fred McGriff trade had gone through.
Ouch. No, we got to bring Donnie baseball. Think about it. If you ever bring Donnie baseball back as the manager, and he finally gets that first ring, the city would explode.
That's right.
The city would, everybody, that's what I'm saying. I'd rather see him not win with Toronto. And, again, computers are not. I think Aaron Boone's just got to go. There's something about him that I just don't like. Right?
It said he loses big games. That's what what it is about him.
Well,
You
he
know,
doesn't lose big games.
I think he's been around too long.
You talk about losing big games. I mean, at least he's gotten to a World Series. Mattingly can't say that, and he's been a coach much longer than Boone has.
Well,
yesterday we were talking about George, and George wasn't perfect, but one thing that George did is George kept Yankees in the organization, right? Elston Howard was the bench coach. Billy Martin was the manager.
Yeah.
He kept Bucky Dent managed. He kept bringing Yankees in, and that's the Bobby's point. Is there any Yankees?
And they didn't win. And they didn't win for 20 years.
What do you mean they didn't win for 20 years?
1978 to 1996.
Well, then George got in trouble and they won again.
Well, that's my point.
I just got to show you.
I'd rather Don Mattingly be the manager than Aaron Boone.
I just want to show you guys
no
something.
Evidence of why that's a good decision.
We want to see. Bobby, would you even mind if Jeter came back in the organization somehow?
I was never a big Jeter guy growing up. I was more of a Bernie guy. I actually met Bernie once when I was a young manager in the mall, and he came in and to my store.
Wait. Donnie Baseball.
That is an original piece of art that my sister painted.
That's beautiful.
Can you tilt the camera up a little bit, please?
Yeah, let me bring it up again.
Oh, that's pretty.
That's really cool.
That's awesome. I mean, I think there are very few things these days that would make me bawl like a baby. But I think Don Mattingly winning a ring with the Yankees would be one of them.
I think the Yankees winning a ring with any manager would make me do that at this point.
Hey, Aaron Boone was brought in at a time when Girardi made it to the ALC. Game 7 of the ALCS. Right, and his job was to get him a step above. Well, he finally did it last year, and nothing happened. So I think that's as far as you're gonna get with Aaron Boone as manager.
I see your point, but I will say that I was also being told by fans before last year that we'd never even make it to the World Series with him and his manager. So it's like proof is. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just saying. You know what name I hear whispers about every so often? Jorge Posada being the manager.
Yeah, that's the name that I've heard as well. If you're talking about somebody who's actually close tied to the Yankees, the two names that I've thought of as for a manager, they're not close Yankee ties guys. One of them is David Ross, and then the other one would be Mark DeRosa. Excuse me. I
heard Mark DeRosa, local kid,
Yeah, those are the two guys that keep coming to mind for me. It's just not everyone can manage with the Yankees, but I also, in my mind, like we keep talking about, you need a Yankee legend as manager. You need a Yankee legend as manager. That's all they've done since Joe Torre. Maybe you need a non-Yankee legend as manager.
Nick, are you joining us again?
Well, while we're looking around at original art, I'm going to show you the other thing in my house. I don't know if you could see that.
I can't. There's a lot of glare.
Too much glare. I'm sorry. That is a photograph of Joe DiMaggio standing in the Yankee dugout.
Oh, that's so cool.
That my father's uncle was a photographer for the New Haven Register, and he took that picture.
Wow.
So that's what I have in my house.
You know what? It was funny. I was reading stories of the Yankees growing up and being the fan I am of the Yankees. I learned to really dislike Joe DiMaggio after I heard and read that he was probably the main reason Mickey Mantle never played that long in his career because he blew out his knee.
Made him play right field, yeah.
And some kind of drainage hole in the center field.
Yeah.
That DiMaggio never warned him about.
Mantle tore his knee up his rookie year. His cleats got caught in a drain.
Yeah, DiMaggio never warned him about or something, right? Something he never.
Well, I think the story was that Mantle wasn't right and DiMaggio was struggling. So Stengel had told Mantle go after every ball, and DiMaggio called him off at the last minute. Now it's hard. Now it's hard to argue that Mantle didn't have as good a career as he could have. Guy won the Triple Crown. He had 50 home runs at least 4 times. I know that at the end of his career he was banged up, but he was pretty tremendous.
That's what I'm saying, Paul. With Aaron Judge, we're witnessing history right now.
Yes, I never. This is the first guy I ever saw that hit this many home runs.
Yes.
Anywhere, on any team, except for Bonds, who was juiced.
Think about it, and also, Paul, real quick. If I'm not mistaken, who's the guy from the Orioles? Brady Anderson? Brady?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't he hit 50 home runs once?
Yeah. Steroid here.
So that's why this Kyle Raleigh from Seattle, I want to see him do it more. All right, he had a great year, 60 home runs, right? Was he close to 60?
I thought it was exactly 60.
I think it was 60.
Right? Oh, MVP talk, him or Judge. But you know what? Do it more than once. Judge has been doing this every year, 50 home runs every year.
Here's what's funny to me: the thing that we kept hearing this year about, why, and I understood this argument for a period of time as to why he, Raleigh would get potentially the MVP over Judge is because, he was catcher, he played catching, defense. He wasn't even, when they were announced today, he wasn't even a Gold Glove finalist at catcher for defense. Now, again, I think the Gold Glove award has meant less and less over the course of time. But if that was the main thing holding up his argument or maintaining his argument that Raleigh should be the MVP, if he's not even a Gold Glove finalist, to me that blows that out of the water, and to me that kills the argument for Raleigh to be MVP at that point.
Excellent. I don't know. Like I said, I think our starting staff is set. So we don't think we have to spend any money there. We got Cole coming back. We got the young guys. We got Schlitter. We got Weaver. Clark Schmidt is the one guy we have to really kind of figure out what his status is with his injury and stuff. But I don't know. I think we gotta figure out the right formula, and I would love to have Clay back. I like to have Bellinger back.
Yeah, I think that's the priority.
That's the priority because he meshed well, and you knew from the beginning he was not afraid of the lights because he's been there before as a kid. And somehow that matters.
Something's going on between Nicole and Luigi here. Watch the body language. You guys were snagged. You were doing it last night too.
By the way, what I was mentioning before.
Thank you for calling him out.
Her kid with her hand in the candy jar.
Thank you for calling him out.
So Nick, what I was trying to mention before, we were talking before everybody else came on, is our next great show that we're going to produce is these two head to head, and we're gonna feed them topics and let them argue about it.
Oh God.
We'll do we'll make some type of trivia contest and have
trivia, pop culture, history, or something. But I want a Gister versus Four Names show where they just go head to head at it, and we feed them the topics.
One will be what's her name, Taylor Swift trivia.
Oh my goodness gracious!
So you want to do a pardon the interruption type format?
That'd be funny as hell.
Genius.
Basically,
Christina would be perfect.
Basically, what we see on our chat group when they still go at it, put that live on the air.
Yeah.
I mean, one can convince the other one that the sky's not blue.
Yeah, and they're having these little side conversations, and it's so obvious. And it's like, I was going to say it last night, but I didn't want to insult poor Mr. Foy, so I just, Look at her.
Oh, if you only
Nick,
knew.
did you get a chance to talk to him today?
Nicole and I both thanked him so much for coming.
Oh,
Yes,
great. Yeah, I sent him a text myself. I thought he was tremendous.
He said he would come back anytime.
No, Paul, to your point before on our chat group, yes, we should start. I gotta find somewhere. I don't know what my million journals that I have. I had when they had the Shaheen Holloway press conference when he was announced as the new head coach. Remember they had brought the whole St. Peter's team there with.
Yeah.
I had sat very close to Terry DeHare, introduced myself, And this is before our show even began. And he had given me his email address to come on. I guess at that point, having an interview with him, doing my podcast and stuff. But now that we have this show together, I gotta find that somehow because he'd be huge to get.
Yeah, he'd be fun.
I see Marcus Toniel a lot in the winter when I do my basketball circuit stuff, and I'm not sure where he ended up because his school closed down.
What about Jerry Walker?
Yeah, I was just thinking of Jerry Walker. Yeah,
especially because he has his Team Walker charity.
Yeah, the only thing is he's a politician and he might have to be really careful of what he says on the air.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
basketball, Nick? I said about basketball?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, it wouldn't be about politics.
We're not going to ask him about politics.
Yeah, that's
true.
That's true. That's true.
And also another thing I want to, since we're talking about our main show, All Hoops and Happenings, I want to say, like I mentioned this during our chats a few months back. I think we should we should start targeting fans, media / fans of other teams, so that when we play them, they can come on and talk about their team.
That's a good idea.
And I already have the DePaul guy. He's a very a friend of mine who I see all the time at the media events. I'll probably see him Tuesday at the Big East Media Day, and that would be Danny Stack. He really covers the DePaul team left and right. But I think we could collectively find other people. And obviously, St. John's would be easy. I mean, Joey Jarzinka is a grad. Jaden Daly's a grad. So we can find St. John's guys. But I think maybe pulling those some UConn guys being from, the great state of Connecticut.
I have to see what we could do. And believe it or not, I know somebody from the University of New Haven that we can get on that I spoke to. I know that we're playing them early in the year.
Okay. Yeah, I think that'd be a great interview because I want to hear about their whole football program. That's about the Blossom, right?
Yes. And actually, this is an old friend of mine. He was at UNH when they were working on going to Division I, and they've been doing decently this year. And he also now is involved with the Walter Camp Foundation, which is, Walter Camp invented football.
Mm-hmm.
And, there's a foundation that the original All-America team was chosen by Walter Camp. And, the Heisman Trophy has an enormous endowment, and there's not as much, money there for the Walter Camp Foundation. So he's been trying to work on bringing it back. So he'd be an interesting guest.
Excellent. All right, before we wrap things up, let's wrap it up with what's your one Yankee wish for this offseason? Gister?
Come back to me.
Come back to you? Paul?
A third baseman who hits 40 home runs. That's my wish.
Luigi, Ryan, 4 names.
Sorry, I turned my mic off and then I couldn't figure out how to turn it back on. For me, I'm sorry. I'm over it. I'm over him. Thanks for the 30 home runs and 30 steals. Trading Jazz Chisholm for the best package possible.
My wish is that his wish does not come true.
Yeah.
I want that.
That's mine. That's mine. No, keep Jazz.
Keep Jazz.
That's my mom's favorite.
I love his
my mom's favorite player. So sorry, Mom. It's also a Duke alum for the conversation we had earlier.
My second team has always been. I don't hide this. I kind of on the back of my mind follow the Miami Marlins. So him being here and him being the big flop down there and coming here and having success, I think is pretty awesome. Nick from Millburn, what's your one Yankee wish this offseason?
I'm going to say it the same thing that Paul said, but I'm not going to say it as eloquently. But basically, that Brian Cashman gets a new computer for Christmas.
All right, one final question before we go. You have a good point there. I've read a lot of, a few things this past week and a half since the season's been over. Has he overstayed his welcome, Brian Cashman, or is he a genius and should remain there as long as he wants to?
No.
As usual, I think it's somewhere in between.
Yeah.
Say again.
I agree.
Oh,
yeah, my answer, Bobby, to you was no.
No, what?
No, he's not a genius, and no, he hasn't overstayed his welcome.
yeah.
So,
I think
he has it. Oh, he has it. So you want him. You want him here.
No, he's going to be here. He's too good at being at getting 90 wins a season to go anyplace. I don't think he's a genius. I also don't know that there's somebody better out there for the Yankees.
I tell you what I loved about Brian Cashman. Do you see what he has? Who he has around him? He's got Omar Minaya, Billy Sabian, right?
Brian Sabian. That's
Brian Sabian, and there's another former manager. I can't remember. Like, he has these guys in his inner circle. I think that's effing awesome.
They got Jim Hendry up there. They got
Yes.
They got Michael Fishman up there. Someone who I think is pretty underrated is Gene Afterman. She's been great.
That's funny because when George ran the team, he always kept former managers around on the staff. But that was so when he could fire the manager, he had a guy ready to go.
Yeah, that's just it. It was for Brian, it's to have voices. For George, it's to have scapegoats.
Quick George story, Seton Hall George story. At the Big East tournament years ago, met a kid that used to be on WSOU that was working in the Yankee organization. Very nice guy, and we had a very candid talk. So I said, "How is it working for George?" And he said, "It's exactly like on Seinfeld." He said, "George is in Tampa most of the time. When he comes in the door, I shut my door so he doesn't know I'm in. If you make a mistake, it's young man, that's strike one. On my team, you get 3 strikes, young man. He didn't know anyone's name. Everyone was young man." And it was, it was very interesting. But everyone tried to stay away from George when George was in New York.
Who we lost? We lost someone else. We lost Luigi.
We lost Scoop.
Knocked his computer out.
Yes, sir. What's your one final Yankee wish for this offseason?
My final Yankee wish. Well, one, that Scoops, wherever he went, doesn't come true, because I do like Chisholm a lot, and so does my dad. Honestly, I don't know. I just think that they need to get out of their mid-season slumps, because they start off so good, then they kind of fall flat, and then the excitement comes back just for them to fall flat again in the postseason. Like, there just needs to be some type of stability.
Excellent point.
One more question again that just popped in my head. Should something be done about what's happening with these Dodgers? I mean,
Yes.
they?
Yes.
Are they? How is it fair to the rest of baseball? They could sign Ohtani to that contract that is deferred 50 years down the road. I just don't think that's a fair. It could be really any sport, but especially
I think
baseball.
someone needs to go audit the LA Dodgers.
Something's not right there, and then the fact that every Japanese star that comes out of Japan wants to play with them, with him, and they have all the money to pay anybody now.
Yeah, there's something very sketchy going on.
Luigi's restarting his left.
I was gonna say, where did he go?
Well, but I think, Bobby, to your point, they may very well need to reconsider how they count deferred payments against the luxury tax.
Right.
I'm not sure how they do that. If the Dodgers are able to get under the luxury tax because they're spending all this money. By the way, it's funny. We have Bobby Bonilla Day, right, where he gets paid whatever it is. That's all deferred money that the Mets didn't pay him when he was playing. And when all that money got deferred, that was a hugely good thing for the Mets because it tried to give them some flexibility to sign other guys. And at the time, if I'm not mistaken, they were all in with Madoff. And they thought they were going to keep getting their 9% every year no matter what happened. So they thought they had a deal for themselves. Now it looks ridiculous that Bobby Bonilla is 95 years old and he's still getting paid to play baseball. But, that wasn't that bad a thing when they did it.
Right.
There'll be a great reality show.
What?
Somebody needs to follow around Bobby Bonilla throughout the month of June. Like, is he broke? Is he counting pennies, waiting for that check to come in July 1st? I mean, what's he doing in June? Is he?
Do you want to know if Bobby Bonilla is living paycheck to paycheck?
Yeah, is he? Is he?
A hell of a lifestyle if he is.
Is he at McDonald's? Happy? Bundled meals there.
Bobby, the phrase is he eating pasta fazool 3 times a week?
Oh boy! All right, so we're gonna be back next week with Hall Hoops and Happenings. I know Nick and I will be at the Open Media Practice Media Day for the women's basketball team, which I'm very excited about.
Yeah, I'm honored that I got invited. I'm gonna try to stay out of the way.
We'll figure something out. For some on-camera stuff when I'm there. I just found out tonight that I'm DJing here on Friday, so I'm gonna DJ till whenever. I'm gonna get 4, 5, 6 hours sleep. I'm gonna head right to Walsh from here. So
Sweeney set it in promptly at 12:30. Right? Is that true?
Oh, it starts 12:30.
No, it ends 12:30 promptly.
So it's got to start. Starts around 10, right? 10,
I think. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll get some coffee and just fly down the thruway. Any final thoughts? Anybody else?
No.
Nick, so how's that casino going? Come on, that looks like a casino back there.
It's just pinball.
I know, but look from the top view, it looks like slot machines.
I mean, we do have a air hockey machine too.
Look at her. Nicole's never moving out. Oh my God.
Why would I?
Yeah, exactly.
Why would I?
I just need a new TV down here.
There you go. Exactly. Yesterday's show, 1,500 views so far. Pretty good for 2 days.
Not bad.
And can you only imagine what our numbers would be if StreamYard didn't be all bougie and started doing weird things with the privacy and now jumping the price of $3 a month? I mean, we'll get there. I'm encouraged that we are getting good numbers because again, I don't know what's happening with this privacy stuff, but it was definitely we're gonna have some big numbers during the season. I think.
Oh, absolutely.
This is the place to be, and we start doing our live game shows. I'm excited about that, and we'll talk about that more next couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And I said in the chat, and I mean, I told Christina today. I said, Christina, we're getting a little popular here. Someone's going to come up to you at the arena and say, "Are you Nicole Gizzi?" I know that's going to happen. And I know Nicole's, and they're going to up to me and say, "What's Nicole Gizzi really like?" I mean,
yeah, it's gonna be a weird year. I guess on my end a little bit because for God knows how many years, Peter Long was the guy, and he always sat like myself, Joey when he's not doing the Manhattan College stuff, Jaden and the other guy, what's his name? Seton Hall graduate, does the PA for the women's team. What's his name? Jason
Garrett. Jason Garrett.
Yeah. So we pretty much, and then maybe one or two other guys, but we all sit in that front row.
Right.
So I don't know what's going to happen this year because now Matt Ambrose is taking over, and I don't know, maybe he has something different up his sleeve,
But you have a relationship with him, right?
A little bit. He knows who I am. We've spoken before.
Yeah.
I changed my email address over the summer, so one of my email addresses. So the one I've been using forever, I stopped using him, and then realized after I let everything go that all my Big East stuff was going there.
Oh.
So I had to reassign my email address things. In fact, remember this morning I rolled over in bed. I noticed that I got approved for Tuesday. So for Big East Media Day, because again, all my stuff was going to a different address. So we'll see what happens this year. But like I said, we'll talk more about the Pirates, obviously, and hey, we're getting closer, kids.
We got to start playing some games because I don't have anything to write about. I'm recycling the old player, the old player profiles, kind of grouping them together and trying to update them a little bit.
So in that regards, Nick and I are gonna. Nick, you know Matt Sweeney, right? You know Matt Sweeney personally? Nick?
What Nick? You're Nicole.
Milburn.
Oh, so.
Do you know Matt Sweeney?
Yes, I know Matt Sweeney.
All right, so I want to approach him briefly Saturday, hopefully, mention, about how our show is growing. And I had mentioned to Coach Boz about getting Paul some access so we can start doing it.
Because we want to get some more, we just want to get some more content on the Facebook group.
Yeah, I remember that. You want to be able to talk to the girl. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I want to talk to the ladies. I want to get a little bit more contact, because right now we're just sort of, we're in holding mode. There's really nothing. There's nothing to chew on, right?
No.
We don't have any information. We hear a little bit about a scrimmage that might have happened. We're hearing about what's going on in practice, but until they throw the balls up, we don't really know what's going on, and there's not a lot to write about.
We are sharing the same information that Pirate Crew is, but we don't charge. Am I right? Am I right? Have you seen anything on there that we haven't said on here?
No.
How much do they charge, Pirate Crew?
$11.23 a month. I just got my charge.
$11.23 a month.
Yes.
We can do our own newsletter for $5.99 and be a hell of a lot better than
So you $11.23 a month. Great story. We were in after a kid named Madison Jones. Remember Madison Jones? So yes. We were in on Madison Jones. Hall Dan post. Just heard we're done with Madison Jones. It didn't work out. We're not interested in Madison Jones anymore. Okay. That was like 9:00 on a Sunday. Call my son 2:00 on a Sunday. Nick, what's up? How you doing? I just helped Madison move in. Madison? Because Madison Jones. I'm like, what? So I didn't tell Nick what Dan just said, but yeah. So that's how reliable that stuff is.
We got Elijah in the comments.
Now, Nick, I told I was with Elijah on Saturday. I was doing the live stream. He was doing the PA for the school. So I mentioned to him that I told him, you got to start doing your homework.
Yeah, he's got to do his homework.
Eli, you got to start doing your homework.
Yeah, he's got to come on and do his homework. Not a lot, just a little. I mean, he's very good. He's very talented, but he's got to know the subject matter.
The good thing is why Eli hasn't been on lately a lot because he's been doing a lot of on-camera work for the soccer team. So
good. No, good.
And also, in that regard, Matt Ambrose did send an email or a request to the soccer SID to get that coach on. Hopefully we'll get that going soon too.
Oh, that would be good. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I like the fact that we start talking about all the sports, right? Eventually.
Yeah.
I mean, hoops is the main thing that drives Seton Hall, but we always had a good soccer program on and off. We've always had that baseball program, and we're just there. So Eli, match game is one of the I can see that. We have a lot of fun. Oh, remind me of Gister. We have to get Eli into the chat.
Yes.
Well, I'm gonna eat some dinner at 9:50 at night.
I just got a text from my daughter Jess. Nicole was cracking up at something. Jess, not something, someone. Luigi, they're having a private conversation.
Oh my goodness!
On that note, guys.
Unless Scoop wants to tell what he was doing, my lips are staying sealed.
By the way, Luigi, before we go,
we'll jump.
There they go again. Oh my God, they need their own show.
What were you saying, Mr. Blanchex? I'm sorry.
Yeah, he's changing the subject. Deflect, Luigi. Deflect.
Now, what's your any final thoughts before we end the show?
Oh, final thoughts. I hope that we look less embarrassing this weekend than we did against the Giants.
Who are you playing?
Minnesota. It's a Carson Wentz reconnaissance. So I hope that we shred him and tear him limb for limb and leave nothing behind.
Go Vikings.
Well, folks, thank you guys so much. I'm going to need to. I have to go to work tomorrow.
I did 11 tax returns today, 12 tax returns today, October 15th. You have no idea of all the procrastinators.
I thought you retired.
It's a retirement.
Yeah, this is not. I worked 40 hours this week, and it's Wednesday.
Oh boy!
I retired from the county. I didn't retire from 80 hours. I retired from 80 hours a week, not 40 hours a week.
Well, I don't know. Nicole and I have to go to work tomorrow. So with that,
all right.
Yep. Everybody have a good night. We'll see you guys next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye, Luigi.
Later.
Bye, Luigi. Luigi's still there.